Welcome aboard the Ear to There podcast, the podcast that'll help you vacation like a pro in any Disney destination. For those of you standing, please sit down and hold on throughout our journey and get ready to learn how to have the time of your life. And now, here's your host, Phil Gramlich.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Ear to There podcast. I am your host, Phil Gramlich. I am also the owner and operator of Ear to There Travel, a Disney-specialized travel agency. It's my job to take away all that stress, all that anxiety, and all that time that it takes to plan a Disney trip so you can focus on the fun things like having a great time with your family and friends and enjoying the magic. You can find this podcast, my blog, or request a free, no-obligation quote over at eartotheretravel.com. This is episode 67 for the week of May 1st, 2017. Now grab a drink, grab a snack, and as a famous mouse once said, on with the show. Walt Disney World isn't just theme parks and Disney Springs. It's also all about those awesome resort hotels on property as well. That's why sometimes it's a lot of fun to take an episode and to look at one particular resort on one of our resort roundup episodes. So in the past, we've done Disney's Port Orleans Resort and we've done the Polynesian Resort. This week, we're going to take a look at our resort roundup of Disney's yacht and beach clubs. My guest today rented a Seri bike with his parents outside Disney's Yacht and Beach Club when he was a teen. They weren't able to help with the pedaling though, so he huffed and puffed his way throughout that magical experience. Now he only dodges the Seris as a pedestrian while walking there with his family. Please welcome my friend, Mr. Johnny Shortsleeve, back to the show.
Man, I'm getting winded just thinking about that story. Have you ever seen people who do these really cool? It's a very cool idea actually, where they'll take like a picture of themselves, not just Disney, but anywhere, where they had like a picture of themselves as a kid, and then they recreate the picture as an adult.
I've seen that.
And
yeah.
Like the same outfit looking thing, like the same place and everything.
Yep.
I'd like to try to recreate that with my parents, but I was in a lot better shape as a teenager. Like now I'm Massive Man certified. I don't think I could pull that off. And I it's so funny. I see those families pulling that.
Oh, those poor dads, man.
Oh, and those hills right there.
Yeah, nobody else pulls their weight. And there's a dad sweating his butt off, pushing it up the hill from behind.
Yeah.
Because nobody else can pedal up those hills.
It's such a cool idea when you see it. When you see it parked there and you got the little bell and, this will be such a fun little lap around. And the other thing is when those suckers get a head of steam going downhill, oh, man, it's on like Donkey Kong, man. You got to get out of their way because their brakes aren't that great. It's not like they're not driving a Ferrari, man. Those brakes aren't carbon ceramics, man. You see them standing on those brakes and they're still going fast.
So you mean Rari? Isn't that what you meant to say?
Oh, yeah, man. I got to get my lingo right like Ty Lopez.
Your Lambo or your Rari?
Knowledge. Knowledge.
And there's 75% of the people who are listening right now don't understand what we're talking about.
I don't know, man. He's got a pretty big reach. If they've ever hit YouTube, they've probably seen him.
He's a Twitter follower of mine these days.
You're big time, man.
I don't follow him. I just one day looked on Twitter.
You're that big.
That big. Yes.
You're the king of YouTube.
Ty Lopez, baby. I'm ready to go. All right, man. Well, thank you so much again for joining me. Dude, we haven't done one of these in like 5 weeks now. It's weird. Like when you're not on, my downloads for the month suffer tremendously. So thank you for coming back on.
Yeah, man. While I'm waiting for the call, I'm just sitting here rocking on my porch.
Meanwhile, I'm the one that
knocks at the Gators. Nothing to do, man. While I'm waiting for Phil to call me.
I'm the one that canceled on you like 11 times in a row because I had some family problem or something else. So thank you for always saying yes and then always being cool when I say, okay, we can't do it tonight. We have to schedule it for a different night. So you have little kids just like I do. So it gets crazy, man, with little kids. You can't keep a schedule if they're home. Like during the day, you're fine, but at night, never.
Yeah,
So,
you're at the mercy of someone else's schedule. But you know what? Here's the thing, man. I look at it as a chapter of my life. I'm sure you feel the same way. That it's challenging, it's tough, but you realize that it's just a blink of an eye, because there's going to be coming a time where they're going to be growing up and not interested in hanging out with you anymore. So I'm trying to savor those moments, even though they're tough.
I'm sorry, man. I didn't mean to cut you off. Yeah, I completely agree. We have a mutual friend who both totally bummed me out.
Oh, I know what. Oh,
yeah. And he inspired me to cherish every moment in the same sentence, because he said, pick your kids up and hold them as long as you can, because one day they won't let you. And that blew my mind, because I have a 6-year-old and 2 4-year-olds, and this is not where I thought we would go with the beginning of the show. But that statement, that one sentence, to me has just it's stuck in my head all the time with my kids. And I am now. I don't know if that's his sentence first, or if that was something he got from somebody else, but
he saw that in a fortune cookie somewhere. He's always out eating. But dude, I 100% agree with it, because that's one of the reasons why I feel so fortunate to live in Orlando. Is again, I'm extremely blessed. I love my life, and I'm super grateful for so many things. And just to be able to spend time with my kids at Disney is an amazing experience. And it's something that when I have friends from out of town who say, hey, can we come and visit, or, can you take me around Disney and show me? That's like, absolutely. Because I want everybody to have that experience with their kids. It's truly amazing, because one day they're going to want to do their own thing.
Yeah. That's kind of scary to think about, though, at this point. I mean, you and I have hopefully a bunch of years left where we kind of, we have those moments, we have that time with our kids. I hope my kids, because I feel like they went from 0 to 4 and 6 in a blink of an eye.
It's crazy, man. Absolutely insane.
It really is. I was watching. Yeah, I'm sorry. This might be edited out, because this is. I didn't mean to talk about all this, but my cousin was here last weekend for Easter with her 1-year-old, and I was playing with him, and he was laughing, and I was like, man, I feel like I was just doing this, and that was 4 years ago. Like, it's crazy to think about how, or 3.5 years ago. It's crazy to think about how quickly that goes. Like, my kids, do everything for themselves now. They don't need me.
Yeah.
They need me to reach the high shelves, and I can't reach that high. You know how tall I am. I have one of those little claw machines in the kitchen that I can reach up to the top shelf with. Get those.
Is that a carryover from your Disney cast member days where you used to use that to pick up trash?
Trash picker, yeah. When I used to reach over the fence to get the popcorn buckets and everything. Yeah. Anyway, all right, man. Well, there's not going to be a natural segue out of that to what we're doing, so let's just go into it. So this is the resort roundup for Disney's Yacht Club and Beach Club, or Yacht and Beach Clubs, I guess you would say. I don't know. So I love doing these. I think they really give people, like listeners, a quick, well, let's be for real, not a really quick, but at least a rundown on.
If they listen to it at double speed, it's quick.
It's like true.
Yeah, man.
And I sound like a very deep voiced chipmunk. It's like a chipmunk who I don't know, who was out on the town the night before is what I sound like at double speed. But but what I like about these is there's so many times, right, that you're at Epcot and you leave and you walk around the resort loop, right? And you walk past the Yacht Beach Club, or you walk past Boardwalk, but you never stay there. You don't really go in, you just walk past them and check them out, and you think, you don't know what you're missing, I think. I think you don't, because they seem like they're these, I don't know, super expensive, crazy places that you'll never be able to stay in. You can. And I think that's what I hope to do with these episodes is, and I'm not, we don't talk prices on this, of course not, but we talk about why you should give one of these a shot, and why they're good and why they're different and why they're not better, but why you should think about staying at one of these resorts on, your next trip.
Well, let me add to that, because I agree with you 100%. And I'd also say that if you're somebody who is, trying to do some planning or thinking about a Disney vacation and you're scrolling through the list of the hotel choices, you might see some photos of the property, and they're really nice photos, or whether be the official ones from Disney or somebody from like a fan blog or something like that. The photos don't do these properties justice. Like when you actually go and step foot on property and walk around and see all the sights and smells and all that kind of stuff, it is a much different experience. And I like this idea of doing this because I think it's neat to kind of hear our own takes, because I was thinking back to the ones that we did before. Like we did the Polynesian and Port Orleans. It's funny because when I was thinking about the list that we did for those, a lot of the stuff that we mentioned, like those things don't hit like the marketing materials that Disney will put out. So right. It's neat to hear our own takes. And I'm curious to see what your list is, because my list is all over the board today, man.
Yeah, mine is too. It's not hard to kind of predict how kind of, for lack of a better word, no, I'm not going to use that word. It's hard.
It's G-rated, man. Keep it G-rated.
Yeah. That was a word that I think may have been taken the wrong way. Anyway, my list is just like you said. It's all over the place. I can't really put. I don't even have a number. Like I just have randomly listed out, and I figure I'll go with the flow and see what you say, and then I'll bounce off that. So I think you, as the guest, should get it started, and let's get your first one. And like I said, I'll bounce off you, and we'll see where we go.
Okay, so I'm going to be super duper selfish here with my first one. And I know this one is going to basically probably take the most time to discuss because there's a lot to talk about here. But the swimming pool scene at Yacht and Beach Club is out of control, man. Florida, as you know, and as listeners probably can guess if they haven't spent a lot of time different times of the year, Florida's warm, swimming pool weather, basically all year round. You can be swimming in Christmas, and it's perfectly fine.
And I have,
so have I. It's pretty spectacular actually to swim on Christmas Day. But like especially like I've only stayed at the Yacht Club one time, and it was in like July one year, and it was hot as it could possibly be here. And I remember hitting the pool and I was thinking, this probably is the best pool in any of the pools of all the Walt Disney World hotels. And, it starts where Yacht and Beach Club is a huge footprint. That's a huge property that those two hotels that kind of like butt together, that they share. I think if I remember, there's like 3 quiet pools that, normal pools that you go to. Right. If you just want to, not go to, a big crazy scene, if you just want to get a nice swim in and just kind of hang out and cool off in the middle of the day after a long morning schlepping through the parks or whatever. They have some a couple of hot tubs there, but I mean, really, the crown jewel of the swimming scene there is Stormalong Bay. And I think it's probably safe to say that like Stormalong Bay should be called like Disney's third water park. It's absolutely insane.
Yeah, it is that good. Completely agree.
Yeah. And so the only thing is you need to be a guest at either Yacht or Beach Club to use it. They have like the fences that are up there, and they have the cast members checking, the bands and all that kind of stuff, because it's a really, really amazing pool. So I think they want to make sure it doesn't get overcrowded with local yokels like me just strolling up, fish belly hanging out and wanting to hang out at the pool. So they're very conscious about that. But the thing I think is really like caught me by surprise, which I don't know why I didn't know about it before I went there, but they have a sand bottom pool there.
Yes.
And when I put my feet down, I was like, what the heck is going on here? Like this didn't feel right. And I kind of like shuffled around a little bit. I was like, well, that's sand down there. And like, so my mind is like, how in the heck are they doing this and not clogging up the filters and all that kind of stuff? But yeah, so it's a sand bottom pool. And they have like this huge shipwreck that if you ever see photos of the property, if you haven't been and walked past it, that's usually one of the iconic things you see in the photos, this massive ship that kind of like crashed on the shoreline there. And kind of buried in there is this huge water slide. And they have like a littler one for the kids too. They have a lazy river that kind of runs through that little complex there. It's like 3 acres, I think I heard someone say one time. It's a massive footprint for this little pool that they have there. And, there's a ton of chairs around. So, and because it's such a wide footprint, there's a lot of water surface that you can be spread out and not feel like you're overcrowded. But I remember when I was there that July, I was thinking, this is amazing. Like, this is a cool way to spend a couple hours hanging out and kind of relaxing without, trying to burn myself out in the summer heat in the parks. And when I walk past there now with my kids, they always say, hey, can we go and stay at this hotel so we can go to the pool? I'm like, yeah, one day let's do that, because that'll definitely be cool. Like, so that's an amazing testimonial right there, to have a local Floridian who lives right down the street from the parks be interested in saying, yeah, I would spend the cash to stay at this place just to hang out at this pool. Like, that says it all right there to me.
Dude, I couldn't agree more with your first pick, only because we've stayed there. My first ever DVC trip, and I'm a DVC member, was at the beach club. And talk about setting yourself up for disappointment at any other pool that you go to. It's crazy. Like, Amy and I went, my wife and I, we had Alexa, who was a baby at that time. I think she was a few months old. And it was our first DVC trip. She was in, the infant seat that you can lock into a car seat, right? You kind of snap in. And we carried her everywhere in that thing. And then it also snapped into the stroller, which, by the way, as a parent, that is awesome to have one of those. I mean,
yeah.
And I've seen the ones that snap into the swing too. Like, they do all 3. That's amazing. But we didn't have one of those. But ours did the car, and then you would take it out and you could take it wherever you wanted. And we took it. We just carried her around everywhere we went, and we hung up at a pool. She had the big sun hat on and was in the shade. And I remember sitting with my feet in the pool, her next to me, having a cocktail, watching all the other little kids having fun, and being like, you can't beat this. You can't beat this pool. It's ridiculous. And what's really cool about it is you said it's sand bottom, which I don't know. Do you know how they do the filter? Because I have no idea.
It's got to be some kind of magic thing that they've invented. Like, I'm sure. Well, I don't know. There's someone else out there who does it, but that's not something that's a garden variety thing.
No,
like,
I don't know it. I don't know of anywhere else, but I'm sure there is, but I don't know of them.
It does. Maybe it's some special sand that is heavy grain and it stays on the bottom very easily. I don't know, but it's pretty crazy how it works. So cool. And you'd think it'd be like all murky and nasty.
No, it really feels like regular sand under your feet. It's crazy.
Well, I mean, like, the water is like clear. Like, you'd think like the water would be all like hazy from the sand, or like dirt. I think it'd be like all dirty, like a river water or something. But no, it's like pool water.
Yeah, it's the weirdest thing, but it's so neat. And one thing that there's a section of it, like the kids section, that kind of blends into the regular full size pool.
Yeah. So
you can wade in with your kids up to, you know what I mean? Like, it's almost like a real, like the ocean, where you walk in at your, the water's at like ankle height, and it kind of gently slopes down like the ocean would into the full size, regular size pool.
Yeah, without the lethal undertow.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. You're not going to have to, what we did when our kids were older and we stayed there is they all wear I don't know if you call them the same thing as I do. We call them swimmies, like the arm floats that they put on like near your shoulders. Yeah. And we can hang out in the pool with them, and, of course you don't take your eyes off them, but they're good enough, swimming around in the pool that's a little over their head, and they're okay. And, it's great. And you can go there, and you can, like you said, it should be called their third water park. It is. It has the lazy river. It has the water slide. You can spend all day there. And Hurricane Hannah's is right there. I hope that wasn't on your list. Hurricane Hannah's is the outdoor bar / like counter service restaurant there. And you can get, water, you can get soda, you can get any kind of alcoholic beverage. And they have a menu with like different sandwiches and salads. And so you can literally spend the entire day, if you wanted to, or your morning or your afternoon or your evening. I don't know what time it closes, but it does close, I think. I don't think that's one of the ones I'm not, off the top of my head, I'm not totally sure, but I don't think that's one of the ones that's open all night. I think it's closed when the lifeguards are off duty. Am I right? Do you know that off the top of your head?
That's a good question. I mean, I haven't been around there too late at night, so I don't know. Like, I know that I was there just a couple months ago walking around, and it was in the evening, like pre-illuminations, like 8-ish, and there were still lifeguards and people swimming around
I
at
think
that
it's like
time.
a 9 or 9:30 cutoff. I'm not 100% positive, but because you need the band to get in, they have a pretty strict policy on who can get in and out of there.
Yeah.
So like you said, you have to be staying at the Yacht or Beach Club to go in. But yeah, I had this on my list. It was this was my big one. And you're right. This is the one that you can talk about the most because it's nothing comes close to it on property as far as pools go. Nothing. It's that good.
Yeah. And that's the thing that I know a lot of people, when they're planning a trip to Disney, obviously they know Florida gets warm and they want to know what the pool situation is, because inevitably that should be a neat part of your vacation, is to have a little time to swim. And this might be the marquee thing, in my opinion, about these two hotels, this massive pools complex that they have with there, by and far is probably the best one easily in Walt Disney World.
I agree. And we're only going downhill from here. So now
well, we got to hook them. We got to set the hook.
That's
early.
true. You know what's funny is I'm going to go completely. This is the perfect segue for me, because I'm going to turn this episode of the show completely upside down on its head for my first one. And this is going to be weird. And you know I'm weird, and the average listener knows I'm weird. I'm a few crayons short of a full box or whatever. I don't know. That might be a weird saying as it is.
Not the coldest beer in the fridge.
Yeah, not the sharpest knife in the drawer. I'm one of those. So this
brightest
is
bulb on the tree.
Yeah, I think they get the picture. I'm sure you could go on all day. But yeah, so mine is weird. So I'm not going to stop. I want to just go ahead with it. Mine is the lobby smell of the beach club. Now, wait a second before you judge me. You and anybody who's listening right now. You know, I love the smell of the beach club. I love the smell of all the lobbies in the resorts in Walt Disney World. I've mentioned this before. It's not a new thing. There's something about your sense of smell that kind of, and I can almost smell it right now because I have a candle that smells like it lit in my recording studio right now. Literally, I do. It's called Beach Club. It's by a company that I will not name because they are not paying me to be named on my show. But I love the smell. I don't know why. It's something that whenever I smell that, it instantly brings me back to vacations and time with my kids and my wife, and you know before my kids. And I've had a ton of different candles to smell like that lobby over the years. The smell is I think it's called green clover and aloe, and the best candle I've ever had that smelled like that was from, okay, wait for it because it's going to be extremely non-manly, but it's from Bath and Body Works, and they had a green clover and aloe candle that I loved, and I burned it out within like a week, and then they stopped making them, so you can't get them anymore. And for a while, I bought them on eBay for like, double the prices they were originally marked up, but I had to stop because that was a problem. So I've had different candles over the years that kind of try to mimic that scent, and the one I have now does a really good job. But I don't know, man. It's something about a smell that brings me back to like a certain memory or a certain time. And I think the smell of the beach club brings me back to when we went there with my daughter when she was little, when she was a baby, and it was her first trip, and it was this really powerful trip. So that smell kind of triggers that for me. So I've crazily enough bought that same type of candle like 10 times. So yeah, that's as weird as it is. The smell of the beach club's lobby is my first pick.
I mean, honestly, I could crack a joke about that, but I'm not going to, because I think that's a really interesting idea. Because if you think about the process of doing a vacation, I mean, I like the lead up to it, like the planning, getting the packing done and getting everything with the house all situated, and then like traveling to where you're going to go. That's a really neat thing. But if you think about it, like, when does vacation really begin? That's a subjective thing that's different to everybody. But for me, like, crossing into the lobby of one of the Disney hotels, that would always be like, for me, like, all right, vacation has begun.
Yeah. And
when you then marry that with this sensory experience, not just the visual things, but also the smells, like what you just said. Like, there was like, the one that was always really big for me was the Polynesian.
Yeah.
And it's changed a little bit over the years. But I remember, with that floral scent that they had, if I would be walking somewhere and for whatever reason I'd be coming up next to a flower or a plant that had very similar aroma or floral scent to whatever that one was at the Polynesian at the time, I would immediately think, boom, oh, that smells like the Polynesian. That smells like vacation to me. So that's a really good point. It does. I know that they have those little scent boxes that they pump that stuff into the different parts of the property. They have like their own little proprietary blends for each place. I think that's a really cool way for your mind to kind of really, have that hard trigger. Boom. Forget everything that is back at home. Forget work. Forget the family stuff. Forget all the house repairs you have to do. Forget the bills. It's vacation time. I like how they do that. I think it's a really, really impactful way to begin the time with your friends and family.
Thanks, man. And that's it. I take that as a compliment that I had a good pick. Because
definitely.
I have in my office right now, I'm looking at them. I have a Beach Club candle, a Wilderness Lodge candle, a Soaring candle, and a musty water smell indoor ride candle. That's actually a candle that a company makes, and I use it. And when I light it, it smells like Pirates of the Caribbean in my kitchen or my office, wherever I am. So I love that. It really does. If you close your eyes, it takes you there. It's a very powerful thing. Let's get to you for your next one.
All right, man. I think now we're tiptoeing into some oddball territory here.
Tiptoeing nothing, man. I dove head first right into that oddball territory.
Kick that wall right down. All right. So the next one I have is the Admiral Suite in the Yacht Club. Now, here's the thing. If you stop the recording and hit Google and typed in something like Disney Yacht Club, Admiral Suite, you might find some pictures about it, but you're not going to find anything on Disney's site about it. If you need to figure out what's going on in the scoop, you got to go to someone like Phil, because he's the one that can get you in on a place like this. It's not like for just any old person can easily do this. So here's the thing. There's a bunch of like junior suites at the Yacht and Beach Club, and then some larger suites. So if you have like a larger family or a bunch of friends and family getting together, a larger group, you all want to stay together in one room, you just split the bill. Not a bad way to go. I had some friends book this suite one time, and it's out of control insane. It's not the biggest one they have there, but if you're standing with your back to Crescent Lake, like if you have your back to the boardwalk, and you're standing and staring at the Yacht Club from that area, you'll see like toward the entrance, there's this massive turret, like this conical shaped part of the building that rises up to the top 5th floor. On the top floor is where the Admiral Suite is, and it's got this little like rotunda type of living room in there with all these windows that kind of look out over Crescent Lake, so you can see out to Boardwalk. And when I was there, illuminations was going off, so you could see like the fireworks from illuminations. You can't see the barge and that kind of stuff from there, but still pretty cool view from up there. And so you get all the normal amenities that you get with a suite at Disney. They really go above and beyond to make you feel like you are a superstar. I don't want to say specific, because I think that stuff changes all the time, so I don't want to say like, oh, you get as much Crown Royal as you want. Like I don't want to make any promises, but so anyway, but here's the thing about this suite. So, all the suites at Disney are pretty spectacular. You're going to pay for it, obviously. But this one was interesting to me. So, it had like, instead of like the standard like hotel room furniture, there was like super cozy couches and chairs, and they had a fireplace. The decor was interesting. I think the decor, maybe the best way to say it was, it kind of reminded me of like if you had a rich friend, like their parents' house.
Yeah.
Like it just was like, it looked like it was, designed by somebody who had a couple of bucks and had some style and some taste. And it was a place where you kind of walked in and said, "Oh, I better take my shoes off." It's like one of those kind of nice places. Although I take my shoes off anytime I go inside anywhere. But anyway, so the thing I like about it though is it is a cool spot if you're doing like a family, a family get together or a family reunion, or a bunch of friends are getting together for a reunion. You guys haven't seen each other for years. That's a cool way to do it because, some of them have like 2 bedrooms, and then you can, or some of them 3 bedrooms, and then they can have some sleeping, like pull-out couches that you can sleep on. So you can fit a whole bunch of people in these rooms, and you just split the bill up. And that way you can have more time to hang out if, you don't want to spend like all your time in the parks or all your time at Stormalong Bay. And so that's a nice alternative to enjoying your time when you're booking a little family get together, family reunion. So Admiral Suite, that's my second choice.
Yeah, I think off the top of my head, I'm not. You can correct me if I'm wrong. I think it sleeps like 9 or 10. I think it sleeps a lot. What's that? I'm sorry.
Legally, it sleeps 9 or 10. I mean, you could roll up with some sleep bags and.
Yeah, and the turret like area is like the living room area, kind of, or I guess not. Oh, they have like a little dining room table in there and stuff. But yeah, that's a cool one, man. I actually didn't think about that when I was thinking about my list. I kind of. What's weird is I don't know why I never go for like the club level stuff or the suites or anything like that. I kind of, for some reason, when I was thinking Yacht and Beach Club, I was thinking everything you can get to like from the ground floor, if that makes sense. So I didn't think about the suite or anything like that, but I appreciate you mentioning it because I always think like, okay, I want to get my client the best deal for their dollar, and it has to be the most affordable trip possible. But there are clients that I have who are like, listen, I'm going there. I'm staying for 10 days. I'm going to spend the money to get, the premier experience here. So that's a cool
even
thing.
If you think about like the family reunion thing, I think I know a lot of people who do that as, Disney World being a destination for a family reunion. And if you say, what, if we get 3 rooms and split, we're going to pay X amount of money, but if we said, hey, why don't we pool our money and get one big fat daddy suite, it's basically paying like the same amount, but you're getting like this insanely awesome room.
As long as you can stand your family members for that long, you're good.
It's a good point. But maybe all the free booze and food will help.
That's a good point.
Kind of take the edge off.
It does, I think. Yeah, I have a friend of mine. We're going out to Disneyland in July. We're going to surprise our kids with a trip. And my buddy, who you and I have talked about before, is helping me get the club level at Disneyland Hotel. So,
nice.
Yeah, I am super excited about that.
I've done the club level at the Grand Californian. That's awesome.
That's a great resort too.
Dude,
that's another great one.
They're the little here we go, man.
I know, we do it every time.
I'll keep it like 20 seconds. At the Grand Californian, their little club level area, they have like this little lounge up there where they have like, the continental breakfast and the snacks and the booze and the desserts and all that. They have a guy or a gal that comes in and does like a campfire sing along with a guitar for the kids. Yeah, man. It was it was my daughter at the time. She loved that. She ate that up.
That's really cool. That place reminds me of Wilderness Lodge so much every time I'm there. It's the weirdest thing. Like I know it's very similar in decor, and what's weird is the signage I've noticed is the same font. I don't know why that is, but it is, and it confuses me when I look at pictures of it. It's strange. I don't know. I'm one of those weird people that notices stuff like that. I notice font on signs, but I did notice that. Anyway, all right. If I couldn't take a stranger turn on this podcast. Now
you have a bumper sticker in your car. I break for crazy fonts.
I did think about, for a long time, I was thinking about being getting into graphic design, and I didn't. I decided to do Disney travel agency instead. So that's a weird. This as a second career. This is probably better than the graphic designer. I think this is fun. All right, so I'll go with the normal one for my next one because for my next trick as magician, it's the proximity to Epcot. You can't beat it, man. I mean, you can basically see the International Gateway entrance to Epcot from the grounds of the Yacht and Beach Clubs. Like, it's right there. What do you think? It's maybe 7-8 minute walk, if that.
It depends on like if you had like the breakfast at Cape May Cafe, that might be like make it a 12 or 13 minute stagger. Or if you had Hurricane Hannah's adventure one afternoon, we're talking 19-20 minutes.
Yeah, we do the when I've been there with my brother, he and I do the Black Stag Lemonade at Hurricane Hannah's. It's the Jim Beam Black Stag. No, not Black Stag. I'm sorry, Red Stag. I was thinking Black Flag, Red Stag Lemonade. It's Red Stag Jim Beam bourbon with frozen Odwalla lemonade. It's excellent. It's really, really good. So we do a couple of those. Yeah, that might be a longer walk. But yeah, you can see if you're a World Showcase fan, or if you're going to Epcot during Food and Wine Festival or Flower and Garden Festival, it's literally, like we said, a few minute walk. Is really nice. You can get right over to Epcot. If you have kids and you don't want to lug a stroller or lug the kids on and off a bus to Epcot that day, it's great. You walk. It's right there. It's really great at the end of the night, I think, at Epcot when, same thing for Boardwalk, when you see illuminations and the park's closing and it's late and you don't have to fight the crowds to get to the front of Epcot. You just walk out, the International Gateway exit and just walk right to your room. It's really, really nice. Of course, you pay a little bit more than you would at like a moderate resort, but I think, when you pay for that, you pay for that convenience, kind of just like you're paying for the convenience of staying on a monorail line. You're paying for the convenience of walking to Epcot at the end of the night or in the morning. Like, it's great too when you have like an Akershus early morning reservation, or you want to get to Frozen Ever After as it opens. We've done that. You get, you stay at the Beach Club, stay at Boardwalk, walk right through International Gateway. The rest of World Showcase isn't really open yet, but I believe it's Mexico and Norway, right, are open. I think they're the only two countries that are open. You can go to either one for breakfast and do either attraction really, really early before the rest of Epcot opens. So that's pretty cool. So that's why that's my pick.
And I tell you, there is a lot of value to that convenience because, you think about like the Magic Kingdom, the contemporary is the walking distance to the Magic Kingdom. And that's an easy walk. This walk you're talking about, it's nice because if you are somebody who wants to stay toward, to the end of the day for the park, waiting, if you have little kids, if they're like struggling to keep their eyes open, if you got the strollers and you're like taking toothpicks to prop their eyes open so they don't fall asleep, because you want to get them back to the room and clean them up and all that. You might, you're waiting a little bit for the buses and the monorails, especially like Epcot. It's a very large park, so a lot of people can fit in there.
Yeah.
And you might be waiting a while to get out of there if you are going to go see Illuminations. So that convenience of being able to walk out from World Showcase and literally be back at your property in 5 to 10 minutes max, that definitely I think is a huge value proposition.
Yeah, I agree. And if they, like we use the strollers, like not so much for our 6-year-old, but for the 4-year-olds still. And if they fall asleep inside Epcot in the stroller late at night, you don't have to worry about getting them out of the stroller on the bus and getting them into their bed when you get back to the resort. You just kind of roll them next to the bed, pick them up, put them in the bed, put the blanket over them, and they're done. I like that part of it because our kids get wiped out, man. My kids get completely wiped in, especially Epcot, because they walk so much and there's so much to do. So, yeah, it's a nice bonus to be.
And your kids can sleep through Illuminations?
They have, yeah.
Wow, that's impressive.
My kids have, I'm from Philadelphia, man. My kids, They grew up in the city, man. It wasn't until less than a year ago we moved to the suburbs. They're used to that. They're used to noise.
Used to car alarms going off, people stealing cars in front of your house and
man,
knocking light posts over, and
they're from the streets. They played in the alleys with glass bottles, and their first couple. Nah, we lived. They were born in, and like Will Smith says from not West Philadelphia, but somewhere in Philadelphia, born and raised. But we were right outside.
Yeah, it was West Philadelphia.
Well, I'm from
in song.
It is no in the song it is, but my kids are.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Where I'm from, in between the two, is almost like suburban. So we lived right inside the city, and then we moved to outside the city recently. But so when I make jokes about my kids growing up in Philadelphia, they did for the first few years, but it was very. I grew up in Philadelphia. They grew up in a very bland, kind of homogenized part of Philadelphia. So. They didn't grow up there. I mean, they moved last year.
I went to Penn and interviewed for business school to Wharton, and I got just laughed at when they did the interview with me. But when I rolled up, because Wharton, the Wharton schools in Penn is in West Philadelphia, I got out of the parking garage and there was like a mattress laying on the sidewalk, like right outside the campus grounds. Like, what is going on here? It literally is like the Fresh Prince song. And I remember, like, before on my way up, I was talking to somebody and it's like, yeah, I'm going to go up and interview at Penn. He goes, ugh, Philadelphia.
Yeah, I got that a lot when I was a kid. Philadelphia, yeah.
Yeah. But
now, where, we cleaned it up. It's nice. It's a lot nicer than it was back in the day. All right, yeah. I don't want to trash my fair city. So,
Pun
I think
intended.
Yeah.
Well,
so you're up, right? I think you're up.
Yeah.
Next.
You know what? You kind of stole one of mine, which I'm not mad, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to change my order up and give you the second part of mine as my next one, which was both Yacht and Beach Club. They're in walking distance to Hollywood Studios too.
Nice.
And it's a little bit longer walk. It might be 15, 20-minute walk, but it's a nice walk because you're walking like right next to that little canal where the friendship boats launch. And look, you can ride the boat over to Hollywood Studios, or I think you can take a bus too, if I remember. Yeah, you can take a bus there, right?
I think it's express now, right?
I don't know. I can't remember.
No, I'm sorry. No, between Epcot and Hollywood Studios.
No. From Yacht and Beach to
yeah, they have a bus. I was thinking the express transportation is between the two parks, but yeah, you can.
Right. Yeah, before they put the gondolas in. But they so here's the thing. I've done that walk, just like parking at Hollywood Studios, and I'll walk with the kids all the way down, around Swan and Dolphin, around Yacht and Beach, around Boardwalk, and then come back. It's a really nice, serene walk. And you walk at one point under Buena Vista Drive, which is like the main road that connects you up to Disney Springs and into Hollywood Studios, which it's not that big a deal. It's a tiny little bridge you walk under. There's no like ne'er-do-wells and gnomes or hobos hanging out in there setting trash can and dumpster fires,
singing a cappella songs.
They're all animatronic, but it's a nice walk. And again, it's a great alternative if early morning, like when the rush is, or late in the evening when the rush is, to have that as an alternative to getting to and from Hollywood Studios from Yacht and Beach, to just take a walk. It's a nice little stroll. And look, here's the thing. Hollywood Studios, you're hearing like, oh man, 15, 20-minute walk, that's a lot. But Hollywood Studios isn't a very big park. It's not like Epcot. It's not you're not going to be spending as much time walking in Hollywood Studios as you would be in Epcot. So you're not going to be going super crazy with your day walking down through Hollywood Studios. And I'm not going to lie, man, even though half of Hollywood Studios is shut down for a while they're building Star Wars Land and Toy Story Land, I still have a lot of fun there. So I still think that's a value proposition right there, just to be able to have, a quicker option available to you if for whatever reason you come out one morning and there's a line for the boat and you don't see the next one coming and you just want to say, hey, you know what, let's get the legs moving, get some exercise, and earn that carrot cake cookie we're gonna nail when we get over to Names of these restaurants and stores is like naming streets with me. I don't know the names of them, the proper names. I just know
the Trolley Car Cafe now? Is that where the
No, that's the Starbucks.
Right.
Across the way, it's not sweet. Is it Sweet Spells? Is that the name of it?
I don't remember. I know. I'm sorry. I'm the worst.
Yeah. So it's right across the way. That little confection, like their confectionery, was where you get the carrot cake cookie now, and so that's a cool little walk. It's a great park. I have a lot of fun there. My kids love it. So I think that's a cool value proposition to add to the list.
Dude, I agree. And then we haven't taken the boat between the two or taken it from Yacht or Beach Club ever since my kids have been born. We love walking. I talk about that all the time. I think with you before on here that we always start our day out at Hollywood Studios and we finish it at Epcot. And if we're staying at Boardwalk or at Yacht or Beach Club, it's even better because we can walk twice. But if we're not, because we'll walk from the Beach Club to Hollywood Studios and then we'll spend the morning to early afternoon in the studios and then walk over to Epcot, spend the evening at Epcot, do Illuminations, do dinner over there, and then walk back to our resort. It's the greatest thing because you don't have to ever get on any transportation that day. And if we're not staying over there, we'll walk anyway. We'll still split the day up and still go over to Hollywood Studios, however we have to get there, and then walk to Epcot in the evening because it's such a nice walk. And, it's a nice break. My kids fall asleep a lot if we have the stroller. So they'll fall asleep and Amy and I can walk and talk and kind of catch up because as you know, in the parks, like when you have little kids there, you're not exactly having adult conversations. It's all like, okay, who needs a snack? Who needs a drink? Who has to go to the bathroom? What are we doing next? You know what I mean? You're not really talking to your spouse or your significant other at all. So it's nice to have that quiet time. And it's it isn't, unless you're walking, let's be for real, unless you're walking like June, July, August in the dead of summer when it's, 96 degrees with 100% humidity, you might want to skip that walk then, just because there's not a whole lot of shade. But other than that, and other than those really super hot months, I love it. I love that walk from Yacht or Beach over to there.
Yeah. No, it's nice. It is. You brought up a good point, and especially like you guys roll with like 3 strollers right now because the kids are younger, and it's just the two of you. Working 3 strollers onto the boat or the bus is a little bit of a challenge. So you think, that's a nice break. You are going to have to do that eventually when you go to like Magic Kingdom or Animal Kingdom. So, it is what it is, but to have a break from it, it's nice to be able to walk to Epcot and Hollywood Studios.
Yeah, you have to see me on like the stroller genie. Like Amy gets the bag or whatever, the backpack or purse she has with like the kids' snacks in it. And then she drags all 3 kids on. And there I am. I give the bus driver, if we're getting on a bus, the whole like 1 minute, buddy, like the whole 1 finger moment. And then I collapse the single stroller and the double stroller. I put them both on my shoulders. And then I usually end up standing there, because nobody will give up a seat for a dad with 2 strollers. For a mom with little kids, of course, but no. Yeah. So I stand there with the 2 strollers on my shoulders with the straps for, it's not bad. I don't mind it.
I'm going to throw an idea to Disney right now. You know how I don't know how Philadelphia is, but I know in other cities that I've definitely paid attention to, I've seen this, where on their like public transportation buses, they have like this hook system on the front of the bus where you can put your bike. Yeah, they need a stroller rack on the front of the buses in Disney.
Dude, but there's so many strollers that would need to be like 20 feet long.
Yeah,
there's just so many dads carrying strollers now. Have you ever seen the stroller parking in the animation courtyard at Hollywood Studios? How many strollers? I mean, because of all the Disney Junior Live on stage and all, there are like 200 strollers there at a time. It's insane.
Yeah.
You can't even call that a courtyard anymore. It's like a stroller yard. It's a parking
But it's funny,
garage.
like the tricks that people play so that you can see, like, I think it's a great, I do that with mine for a little squirt. I have like a ribbon I tied to the handle. So I know like when I see that ribbon, that's ours. But people like tie balloons, or I saw someone with a pool noodle like on their stroller.
That's interesting.
Yeah. It's like they rigged that up pretty cool. It was kind of like, what you need is like, the flags you put on the back of big wheels.
Yes.
that are like 8 feet high.
Yeah, and I'm glad you know what a big wheel is because Amy never didn't know what that was.
What?
Back when I know.
They're coming back now, like adult-sized big wheels. These dudes like take them down like windy roads and
there's a race. I think there's a race in I forget where it is. I think it's in San Francisco down one of their really steep hills where guys wear helmets and like pads and race real big wheels down these hills in San Francisco. It's
nuts.
It's insane. It's completely insane. Yeah, but I had a point to make and I forget. Oh well, doesn't matter.
I feel like I should get a break on my insurance because I don't do that. Like you know how like actors they'd be very careful, like don't go skydiving, don't go hunting wild boars, like just the crazy stuff that they don't want actors to do when they insure them. There should be a break you get on your health insurance because you don't do that stuff. Also, like I want and look, if you are, you pay a little extra because you're going to find yourself in an emergency room because you're racing big wheels down Lombard Street in San Francisco.
There's a movie with Ben Stiller and Jennifer Aniston where he's I forget the name of it. Along Came Polly.
Yeah,
he's
wait. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what you're talking
about. He's like an analyst for an insurance company to see if they can insure certain people. And there's a guy who's like he's insane with like the extreme sports, and they're trying to figure out if they can insure him. And I don't know, you just reminded me of that. That makes, it doesn't matter at all in the long run of things in this podcast. But yeah,
well, they have like the insurance spies. Like if you're collecting, money for like an on-the-job injury. Like I remember as a kid, my neighbor 2 houses down did that. He claimed he got a back injury, and they had a spy sitting down the street, and they caught him like laying mulch down the front of his front yard one day, and they gave him the once over. I don't know what they did to him. They pulled his insurance payments or whatever. They should do that. They should just hang out at like the skydiving places and check insurance cards.
Don't break the law, kids. That's what we're saying.
Yeah, no insurance fraud, kids.
There's a commercial on the radio. It's like insurance fraud breaks the law, and I've heard that one so many times. Where the guy's like, I wasn't in an accident, but I'm getting away with it anyway, and I don't have to go to work anymore. And they're like, that's insurance frauds, kids. Like that, don't do that. Anyway,
that's the barometer for where we are as a society. Like those are the commercials.
If that's a thing, yeah. Seriously. Yeah.
We've slipped.
If you're considering insurance fraud, that's probably a problem. All right. We're way off the topic again, as usual. All right. So that was you, right? So it's my turn.
I did the walking distance to Hollywood Studios. That was my third one. So yeah, I think it's you.
Okay, yeah. So wow, we're only at 3. All right, we gotta pick up the pace here.
Well, we got the big one out of the way. Already.
Yeah. So whatever. Okay. So my next one is you mentioned this I think earlier, and I just want to mention it. It's breakfast at the Cape May Cafe. It's called Minnie's Beach Bash Breakfast, which I had to write out because that's not easy for me to say because I talk a little fast. But we've done this one a bunch of times. My kids love it. Characters that are guaranteed to be there pretty much every time are Minnie, Goofy, and Donald. They're dressed up in like their beachcomber kind of outfit, which is a little weird. It's a little 80s, their outfits, but it doesn't matter because the character interaction is phenomenal. They spend a ton of time at the tables. They're great. Food includes, your standard, the Disney buffet breakfast. It's like scrambled eggs, bacon, sausage, different kinds of bread or sausage, however you say it. I don't know. Different kinds of breakfast breads, Mickey waffles, stuff like that. And one thing about this place that I really like is a lot of the more popular or most popular character meals, you kind of feel rushed, like they have this quota they have to fill that day. They have so many people coming in and out that day. It's a smaller restaurant and you feel like you're a number and they got to turn you over and the characters get there and they wave and they hug and they go. And this isn't like that. I feel like you get to sit. It's a buffet. You get to take your time. The characters don't feel rushed to me. My kids love it. It seems like, and it's not just kids. There's lots of adults that go, in groups of adults and stuff. So, like I said, like I feel like even like a place like Chef Mickey's, right? I feel like the characters are great there. The interaction is great, but it's so short. It's like bam, bam, bam. Like they come over to your table, they say hi, they want that pen, they want to autograph something, they're gone. I remember the great moment, a great memory for me on a trip was my son Jack was in a high chair, and Minnie came over and spent a little time with us and signed autographs, and she went around. There's like a beam. Jack was like, his high chair was right next to a beam, and she went around the beam, and he watched her, like his whole head turned and craned, and she saw it, and she started playing peekaboo with him around the beam, and he loved it, and I videoed it, and it's something that I have like on my hard drive to this day, and I save it, and very, very cool for that kind of, that kind of character interaction. You don't get that all the time at these meals because I just like, again, I feel like some of them are so rushed and you don't get to spend that quality time. So I don't know. I really like this one. And another thing is too, a great thing about having a character meal in your resort is you don't have to rush to get there. Like you set your alarm, I don't know, half hour before you roll out of bed and you can get there. So I like to be able to walk from my room to the restaurant and the characters are right there. It's pretty cool.
And the other thing that I think I like about the character breakfast, and this one is no different. Obviously, the character interaction is neat. That the kids love that. They have so much fun hanging out and taking the pictures with the characters, getting the autographs, things like that. The other thing I think is really good about this is you need to have like a really good breakfast, especially the kids, if you're going to be going out and spending a lot of time in the parks, because just getting like a bagel or some kind of little pastry or something from just whatever you can quickly grab at like a quick service pod, that's not enough because they're going to be expending a lot of energy. And I've noticed that when my kids are out and about in the parks, if we go out and they haven't had like a really substantial breakfast, just something quick, and you can tell like from a temperament perspective, the blood sugar drops. They just don't have enough nourishment in it to hang with the amount of energy they need to expend to walk around those parks. It's not a great and enjoyable experience. Now, look, I'm not saying do it every day. That's certainly, if you're on a budget, it's not easy to do. But I am a huge advocate of, getting a really good, substantial breakfast when you're on vacation at Disney so that your kids are like powered up and ready to go and have the energy they need to enjoy everything. And they'll be in their best mood possible. And then, you can have a light lunch or, a snack somewhere and then go crazy at dinner, whatever you want to do. But I love that choice. And I think it's great, especially if you're staying there, just to be able to quickly walk, like you said, down and chow down like a maniac at that place.
Yeah, like me, and you too. Like we don't have to worry about too much about getting ourselves ready. Just roll out of bed, get a quick shower if you have to. You don't have to, brush your hair or anything. Throw a hat on. You're good to go. You're ready to rock. Like my girls, that's the issue with having girls is they need their hair brushed. And like me, Jack and I, we just roll out of bed. He's showered. He gets a bath or showers the night before. I get out of bed, take a shower. I'm ready. I'm ready to roll. I mean, go. The girls, it's like such a process with the hair and, as a dad to girls, it's adorable and they're fun, but sometimes you're like, let's go. So it's nice to have that restaurant right there to just get out of bed and walk to. It's really nice.
And the other, I agree with you 100%. And the other thing, just to kind of really hit this point home, is that, if you are in a position where you have a breakfast reservation somewhere where it's maybe not that easy to get to at that time of the day because of the bus schedule or whatever, you don't want to have a whole lot of stress on your plate, pardon the pun, early on in the day. And I think it's nice to, in this case, to be able to say, we're going to keep everything right where we're staying if we can, so that we don't get all stressed out and anxious because we're waiting for buses or doing all kinds of transfers and things like that to get to another property that has a breakfast buffet or whatever. So that is a cool luxury.
Yeah, and it's a good point. It didn't make my list, but you can also walk over to the Boardwalk for the new character breakfast over there. I know it's not a beach club thing, but you're so close to Boardwalk, you can walk over and have breakfast with Ariel, Prince Eric, Rapunzel, and Flynn Rider at the the new character breakfast over there. That's 10-minute walk. So that's another good thing off the top of my head.
Trattoria Al Forno.
Yeah, I didn't try to say.
Is that how you say that?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm terrible at pronouncing any word that's not like water. And I pronounce that terribly according to most people.
English language is tough, and then you start, tiptoeing the other languages, and it's just
I don't even try. I you've heard my accents on the episodes we've recorded together. It's just terrible. It's awful. Oh man, it's bad. Anyway, all right, man. So that was mine. Yeah, I think you're up.
Okay, so another cool little on-property benefit for Yacht and Beach Club is they have something called the Sandcastle Club, which is something that I did with my niece years ago when she was younger. She was staying with us at Yacht Club when we went there, and this place is amazing. And they have a few of these little interactive children clubs on property. So, there's another one at the Polynesian. There's one at Wilderness Lodge, I think is being refurbished right now. I think there's one at the Swan, and there's one at Animal Kingdom Lodge, if I remember. But basically what it is, it's like an interactive children's only experience where I think it's 3 to 12 is the age range. You don't need to be staying at Yacht and Beach to use the Sandcastle Club or to get a reservation there for your kids. But it's awesome because you drop them off, they'll feed them dinner, standard kind of kids food, nothing over the top and crazy. And they're all obviously mindful if there's allergies and things like that. But they have games for them to play, video games, arts and crafts, different kinds of character experiences. And I don't want to say specific things that I remember from when she was there, in case they're not doing it still. But this is great because let's say, for example, if you and your significant other want to have a nice evening to yourselves because, that should be part of your vacation too, just to have some time to connect. This is a great thing because you can feel like you've given your kids the opportunity to experience something that you can trust that they're on their own for. And you can go off and have a nice meal and take your time and not feel rushed. Because I think if I remember correctly, it's just a flat fee for the night, or if it's like 4:30 to, I don't remember what the time when they kick everybody out. But I do remember when my niece did it, she didn't want to leave. She was just having such a good time, and she made friends in there, and it was, hard for her to say, all right, it's time to go. That I think is a great testament to what you're experiencing and what your kids are seeing. If you have to basically drag them out. So, I know that Walt Disney World has this stigma of being a kid place, but honestly, it's not just that. There's so much more, especially like for teens and adults. And if you're there with your young kids and you want to, splurge on a nice meal just for you and your significant other, but you don't want to bring your kids to it, which you can, by the way. I've done that, and it's perfectly acceptable. But if you say you want to do like an 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock dinner reservation at California Grill, which again I don't remember how late these kids things are, like Sandcastle Club, but you think I'd do a little research before this, right? But you think about it, if you're bringing your kids at 8:30 California Grill, chances might be pretty good that the table next to you, like the guy's getting ready to propose to his girlfriend, and then you got your kids there screaming and like throwing stuff. You want to ruin the mojo and ruin the mood for that situation. So, but I've done it when I do the kids and bring the kids to a nicer meal. It's usually earlier seating, like 5 o'clock, where I don't think there's a whole lot of proposing going on at 5 o'clock. So that's my choice, and for my fourth choice, Sandcastle Club.
That's a good one, and you're right. It's 3 to 12, I think, are the ages. So you have to.
I lucked out.
Yeah, and kids have to be totally potty trained. They can't. There's no pull ups. And you were right. It's a $55 flat rate, and it opens at 4:30. And I can't. As you were talking, I was researching because I wasn't ready for your pick. Because of course we don't discuss these ahead of time, so I did not know where you were going. So as you were talking about it, I looked it up, and it opens at 4:30, but I can't find a closing time. If you want to sing this, if you want to sing the song,
closing time.
So
one last call for alcohol. Finish your whiskey or beer.
I was wondering how long you were going to go. Just keep going, man. Why not?
Yes, that's all I remember of that song.
There's a they do provide snacks at 10 p.m. So I'm assuming, I mean, it's open later than 10. That's pretty impressive. I don't know that.
Yeah.
I don't know the time. Dinner is given at 6 p.m. Snacks at 10 p.m. So one thing you didn't mention, which I think is really cool, is they do like a little pirates, almost like a mini pirates league in there, where you get to meet Captain Hook. So that's kind of cool too.
Oh, wait, is that just the Sandcastle, or is that all of them?
Just the Sandcastle Club, yeah.
Okay.
There are different characters at different ones. I know my kids did. We did a trial when they were redoing the one at Wilderness Lodge. They changed it around a couple years ago. We had a free, how Walt Disney World will reach you on a survey. We did a survey, and they sent me an email because we had a trip upcoming, and they were like, do you want to, we'll let your kids can come for free. So they had Chip and Dale doing a thing at Wilderness Lodge. But like 20 minutes in, we got a call that my daughter Zoe was not cooperating, so we had to go pick her up.
Oh,
so
man.
We didn't get far. We were at the Territory Lounge, so it's not like we had to go very far. I think Amy ran to get the kids, and I just paid the bill, and we were fine. So, but yeah, it's a good pick, man. All the kids clubs are very, very cool in Walt Disney World. They do the same thing on the cruises too. They have the kids clubs there, and the Oceaneer and the Oceaneers clubs and labs, and I think they do a great job with that stuff. It's very, very cool.
Yeah, it's great if you want to just have that little decompression time. A couple of dinners here and there while you're on vacation.
Yeah, man, and like I said, we get the call 5 minutes in that our kids, they don't listen. My kids,
they probably looked at you and say, "Oh, these are freebies. Get them out of here. Just pretend that they're crying."
They have somebody else. Yeah, we have other people coming in. Let's go.
We got paying customers. Yeah. They're taking up space.
Zoe has also been kicked out of the kids club in IKEA, just so we can. I'll go on record on that one too.
Oh my.
She freaked out at the IKEA kids club. So I feel bad for her significant other when she gets older. That person's going to be in a lot of trouble. So
I don't know. She may be getting it out of her system now, and she'll be super cool and mellow by the time she's grown up.
I doubt it. She's the one that'll I step on a Lego at night and it hurts, and I react, and she's the one that tells me that you stepped on my Lego.
Had it perfectly placed there.
I had it.
It's like a sundial.
It was the only thing that was on the floor that you didn't see when you cleaned all my stuff up. So that's my daughter. She's great. All right, man. So my next one, I think I did I do Cape May Cafe breakfast last time? I think I did.
Yeah, breakfast, yeah.
This time I'm going Cape May Cafe dinner. Because it's completely different. And I think a lot of people don't realize that the dinner is not a character meal. It is an all you can eat or all you care to eat, or however you say it, seafood and more dinner buffet. So it's like the standard buffet in Walt Disney World that you're used to, but like a whole lot better. They have really, really, really good seafood, surprisingly good seafood there for a buffet. They have clams, mussels, shrimp. They have king crab legs at this buffet, which I mean, we were talking about Vegas, I think, before I hit record. Outside of Vegas, I don't know anywhere else you can get king crab legs on a buffet. So they have ribs, they have chicken for people who don't like seafood. They have one of the best dessert counters anywhere at Disney property. I mean, it's huge. There's, what's cool about it is they have these little bite-sized desserts, and there's like a cherry cheesecake and like a Oreo cheesecake and like a chocolate brownie, and there's all kinds of crazy little bite-sized things you can get. I love that. I'm not even a sweets guy, and I love their dessert cart there. Like I said, there's no characters at this one, so it's not a bummer really, because you're so busy and you're so full from all the seafood that you have there, and that you're dealing with, and that you don't really miss the characters, I don't think. And it's just a neat thing. I remember when years and years ago, they used to give you a bucket with a shovel, like a kid's beach bucket and shovel to go like scoop the clams and the mussels and all that from the buffet. I don't think they do that anymore. I think it's all like real plates and bowls and stuff now. But it's a cool thing. It remains like a place that I'll go to whenever I'm staying at Yacht Beach Club, because I don't know if it's just that I have fond memories of it, or it's because I like the food so much, because the food's really good. And it's a lot better than you might think of a regular like seafood buffet. So yeah, that's definitely one of my top reasons to go there.
We have one of our mutual friends. He is friends with an NFL player who has a second house here.
And mutual friend as we mentioned earlier.
I'll tell you offline,
All right.
so we don't out anybody. But this one NFL player, when I don't know how I think off season he lives here, and then even during the season, like after the game, I think he'll even just like hop on a flight and get down here with his family. And allegedly, his routine is every time he lands in Orlando to come stay at his place here, he has a reservation at Cape May Cafe for dinner, like on the books, ready to roll. And he comes and just kills it. And I got to imagine they probably like having him there because, you know, if you're into NFL, football, you probably recognize him. So that's kind of cool. But and he's a nice guy. But I got to imagine too they hate him because he's just he's getting his money's worth and then some.
It's like, do you remember the John Pinette? Do you remember John Pinette, the stand-up comic, the really really overweight guy that I don't know if he's still around. He may have passed away. I'm not sure, but he would talk about going to the Chinese buffet, and he was like very very large, and he would say that the owner of the Chinese buffet would come up to him and say, "You've been here 4 hours. You leave now." And that's what it reminds me of. And I'm sorry if that sounds like insensitive. That was his voice, not mine. I was just trying to and
it's not your joke. You're just
no. Yeah, I'm just telling you. But it was funny the way he said it, because he said the poor people will lose so much money when he came in. That's kind of what it reminds me of.
Well, I think the difference with the seafood buffet, like king crab legs, like it's a process to get just a little bit of meat, especially if you're not good and you don't do it all the time. It takes you a long time. Yeah, because you stop because you're tired, not because you're full.
Right. It's a lot of work.
Yeah, a lot of work for not a lot of yield. But it's good.
I heard Jim Gaffigan, again, I bring up another stand-up comic. Jim Gaffigan called him like the rats of the sea or something. He said it's just terrible. Like you're like ripping up the rodents of the sea or something. He's like, I don't know why you would eat that. I love it. I love seafood. I love king crab legs. But
yeah, man, it's good stuff. I mean, and it's nice when you have them, like, as if you're somebody who hasn't had a lot of experience with them, or something where you go, you know what, I really want to try new things in the seafood realm. That's a cool way to do it, because you try it. If you don't like it, you didn't make the full commitment on an entree at a sit down restaurant. It's something where you kind of say, hey, I want to give crab legs a try and see if I can get into them.
And if you don't like them, you can get the ribs or the chicken or the salad or the sides of the mashed potatoes and corn on the cob and all other kinds of stuff they have there. So
yeah, man.
Now I'm getting hungry.
Getting hungry.
I ate like 6 hours ago with the kids, so now we're recording this at night. So, and kind of late at night. So right now I'm like, all right, now I need to go eat my second dinner in a little bit. But yeah, I don't know. I just love that place, and we try to go. Again, it's not somewhere where my kids, because they're picky eaters, will eat every time. If you have picky eaters, they have great desserts for them, but the food for dinner might not be. And I'm not trying to talk people out of it, but I have my kids don't eat a lot besides macaroni and cheese and chicken fingers and waffles and pancakes and that kind of stuff. So they're not going to sit and eat a bucket of seafood. But if your kids are good with that stuff, it's definitely worth your time to give it a try.
Yeah, man. Getting hungry.
I know, man. Now I want some shrimp and crab legs and
oh man. Let me take it. This is a 30-second, but it's worth it. I was buying some shrimp the other day at the grocery store, and you like from the seafood counter,
which is a legit thing because you're in Florida and you can buy shrimp there.
Yeah,
like,
and it's
I'm 2 hours. Yeah, I'm 2 hours from the ocean. Like I still feel okay, but whenever I'm mid US, I try not to order any kind of seafood because I'm like I'm way too far from the ocean to get seafood. Anyway, sorry, I interrupted your tangent with my own tangent. Sorry.
No worries, man. So I was getting like a pound of shrimp from the seafood counter, and there's this really, really funny guy that works the seafood counter in my grocery store. The guy literally is like 6'8", probably like 400 pounds, like huge dude. And he's rigging up the bag of shrimp. He goes, "You know what I call these, man?" I said, "No, what's that?" He goes, "Call these road shrimp." I said, "Road shrimp? Why do you call these road shrimp?" He goes, "Because usually when my shift's over, I get myself about a pound as well, and I eat them on the way home." I said, "These are peel and eat shrimp. You eat these on the way home while you're driving?" He said, "Yeah." Like I was dumb for asking the question. I was like, talk about distracted driving. Like Florida's got loose rules. Like you can't text and drive, but you can talk and drive. Like you can have
that
phone.
too here. That's funny. Yeah.
Like there should be a rule. Like no eating peel and eat shrimp while you drive. Like that sounds way more dangerous than texting.
That I would never eat shrimp in my car in the first place. That's crazy.
Yeah, I can imagine like pulling over to the side of the road to just like really, concentrate on it, and like at night, and then like the cop pulls over, sees the steamed up windows, and it's a couple of teenagers necking. Nope, it's Arnold in there with his shrimp,
with a bucket of shrimp. And he's got a bag.
Then, like, the passenger seat is just filled with shells.
I was giving him more credit.
Shells and tails.
I was giving him more credit. I was going to say he has a big plastic bag with his shrimp shells in it.
I didn't even ask him if he had like a thing of cocktail sauce in the cup holder. Like he's just eating them straight up, like while he's driving. Like I love this place, man. And no wonder Florida gets a bad rep. It's called like the Redneck Riviera.
Yeah, really, man.
That's what happens, man.
Or maybe he's driving like an '88 Oldsmobile and he puts the cocktail sauce in the ashtray and dips it in there as he goes. Who knows, man?
He holds the cigarette lighter up to it just to like heat it up just a little bit, toast it.
All right, we're gonna play top that Arnold peel and eat shrimp joke if we don't cut it now. Sorry, so is this your fifth one? Are you up for your fifth one?
Yeah, this is my fifth one. I got Okay,
so go ahead.
This is a little off the wall, but again, kind of highlights what I think are just, pretty wide range of things that really make these properties special, and why I think they should be something that someone should consider and when they're thinking about a spot to pick to stay when they're doing their Disney World vacation is in terms of recreation. We talked about the pools. That's definitely like the thing, I think. But there's also a neat thing as well is you can rent boats from a little marina there. So they have like the little Sea Racer boats, which is like the most popular one. Which is like a little 2-person, tiny little boat. They're fun to drive around. They go pretty quick for something like that. Then they also have these Boston Whaler Montauk boats, which a little bit bigger, kind of like just a little bit maybe bass boat size, but it's just like a different hull. So it's kind of like a cruising boat. And then like the big boy is the Sun Tracker pontoon boat. I think like the Boston Whaler Montauk boat is, how you go to the gas station and there's 3 grades of gas, like the 87, like the 89, then like the 93. Like who buys the middle grade gas? Like I think that's like the Boston Whale's like the middle grade gas at the pump. Like, you're either buying the cheap stuff because that's what your car can do. If you have a oldie but a goodie like me, a 50-year-old car, you're buying like the heavy duty 93 octane. Which actually I was joking. Yeah, my car is 50 years old, dude. Like 5 more years, my car can get an AARP card and a discount at IHOP.
That's crazy, but really cool at the same time. That's so cool,
man. Oh, I love it. But anyway, hey, but like the pontoon boat, I think I've talked to you about this before in a podcast. Like my spot to rent is the Polynesian because I like cruising around Bay Lake and Seven Seas Lagoon. But it's really cool. Like Crescent Lake right through there is a cool spot to cruise around too. Those pontoon boats are nice because, especially you got little kids. I mean, you get them the life vests and it's a nice little thing for them to be able to cruise around. You just have to watch out for the bigger boats, like the friendship boats.
Yeah.
So that could be a fun little afternoon activity, something different to mix it up. Look, I love the theme parks. There's so much to do. If you go there for a week, you'll never be able to do everything that they have to offer in the theme parks. But you can't have your kids go through it. If you have young kids or even teenagers, you can't drag them through the park all day and all night. You got to come back and take a break. It's great to have, a resort like Yacht and Beach Club that's so close to the parks. And you want to break it up a little bit, do something fun in the middle of the day. Try riding a boat. That's a fun little activity. It won't cost you a whole bunch of money, but it will be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I think I told you before. Like, I've never rented anything bigger than the tiny little. What are they called? The shoot, I can't remember the name. You just said it. The whatever racers or the mouse. What the heck are they called? Sorry.
Water mouse.
The water mouse. That's what they are.
Yeah, sea racer, same
sea
thing.
Sea racer, water mouse. Yeah, that's the only boat I've ever rented. So I wish I could talk more about the different boats. I know what they are. I've seen them. I've rented them for people. I've never ever been out on the water. You know me, man. I'm kind of a landlubber. I'm the guy that
you're a hush puppy kind of guy.
Yeah, I'm like the guy that I'll be on the sidelines watching people on the boats. I've never gone I've never done any of that stuff, like going deep sea fishing or went out like further than a couple of miles on a boat. I know
riverboat gambling.
Yeah, I don't do the riverboat gambling. I don't do any of that stuff. But yeah, I know a lot of people love the boats and love to rent them. And one thing that makes me a little nervous is when you run them over by Magic Kingdom is the ferries and stuff. So I think I'd be more comfortable renting them at somewhere like Yacht or Beach Club, where you're not going to run into one of those giant ferries there. The friendship boats aren't all, they're big. They're not ferry boat scary though.
Yeah, but those friendship boats move fast, and but the thing about the ferries is the ferry boats, they have a predictable path that they go. It's just a straight line, and as long as you kind of time it right, and you know that if you see one coming, you just kind of hold back and just float for a bit and let it go, and then you can kind of go behind them. But you see these goofballs riding those little sea racers, the water mouses. Water mice, and they're like cheating death, man, like running right in front of these ferries. I'm thinking I can't watch because they're just so crazy with those things. But that's why I like the pontoon boat, because you can't go fast. You just kind of have to cruise. Yeah.
And I see people try to hit the waves behind the ferries too, which freaks me out. Like, I don't understand. I don't know. Maybe I'm just way too buttoned down. They're way too straight laced where I'm all for having fun. I'm all for doing cool things, but it makes me nervous, man. I don't know. I guess I might be like, I don't know. I'm too much of a wimp, but
no, man, you got a lot to lose, man. You got kids.
Yeah, I guess that's what it is. Let's be for real. Like, I had a chance to go skydiving before I had kids, and I completely wimped out. It's not my thing. I've gone bungee jumping though. I'll do that. That's something that didn't freak me out. Anyway, before I go off on a bungee jumping tangent, now here's my issue, right? I have the one that I should say for my last one, and the one that I kind of want to say for my last one. So I'm kind of stuck. So I'm going to go with the one that I want to say, and then you and I maybe could talk about really quickly my honorable mention, and if you have any honorable mentions too, because my last one is, and this is going to sound a little weird, but it's a lounge at the Beach Club, and it's the Martha's Vineyard Lounge. I don't know if you've been there, if you've had food there, if you had drinks there, but I love this place. It's got like a kind of a special like memory for me, for myself, of a Father's Day when my daughter, I had all three kids at that point. The twins weren't even one yet. And it was Father's Day. I was there with my immediate family, like my wife and the three kids, and then my parents, my brother, and my sister. And we were all staying at the Beach Club in a 2-bedroom villa there. And then it was Father's Day, so my wife and my mom said to my dad, my brother, and I, listen, it's Father's Day. Go to Martha's Vineyard, go to the lounge, have a couple drinks, relax. don't worry about the kids, and meet us for dinner at Cape May Cafe. So we went, we watched golf on TV. We had some drinks like real men do. We sipped some cognac for a while and some blended whiskey. No, that's not true at all. We had,
whoa, it's like drinking gasoline.
I think we had a couple of Sam Adams while we sat there and watched whatever golf tournament was on TV. But I just love that. And I had this memory of this, and this, memory of me having, then my family being complete and having my 3 kids there and my dad. And, we were having a drink together. And then, my brother doesn't have kids, but he got thrown in because he was just a guy. And then, it was just nice. And it's a nice memory for me. And then, for Father's Day to spend it somewhere with my dad and being a dad was really cool. So maybe it's a sentimental thing for me. I don't know. But I really like the place. I like the lounge. It's a very like laid back kind of chill out atmosphere. They have a couple TVs on the walls. It's not like a big sports bar kind of thing. It's like big leather chairs. You can sit down and relax, have a drink. They also have food up until I think 9:30. They have like appetizers and small plates. So you can get food while you're in there. Like if you're out at Epcot until late at night, or if you're, anywhere and you come back and you're hungry, they have the 2 that I would recommend, right? Salt and pepper calamari, which I love, and Old Bay shrimp. It's like a steamed shrimp with Old Bay. Really anything with Old Bay is good, but the steamed shrimp with Old Bay is awesome. So yeah, it's weird. Like I have another, my honorable mention, but this place for me has kind of cool memories. It's in a cool place to kind of to sit and have a drink and relax, and it's quiet, and you can have your, little food. So yeah, that's why it's my last one.
Well, and I think it's worth mentioning the sister lounge over at Yacht Club, the Cruise Cup, which is, and one of the really cool, like under the radar lounges that not a lot of people know about or talk about. I'm not good at describing decor, but I think it's kind of like what you would expect, like very New England in terms of like, I guess, what is the time period they're trying to capture? Is it like turn of the century, like turn of the 20th century?
I think it's early. Yeah, I think you're right. I think it's like early 1900s.
Yeah.
Like kind of almost like a Richie kind of yacht club atmosphere.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that kind of plays into it. Like, like the hardwoods and the, it's kind of it doesn't have any outdoor light. I don't think. I think it's all indoor, if I remember. Then, but they have like cool lights, like these like Craftsman style lights.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I heard that the kitchen for Cruise Cup. I'm not sure about the Martha's Vineyard Lounge with Cape May, but I heard that the Cruise Cup Lounge shares the kitchen with Yachtsman Steakhouse, which we didn't mention.
Which was my honorable mention. Yeah, that's what I was going to go.
Oh, yeah. So you can kind of get like that caliber food on like the bar menu. But I'll let you mention that as your honorable mention. Let me mention my honorable mention, which I think we probably should. You should mention that one because I think if you don't, there's going to be outrage. The internet will blow up. I'll mention one real quick. Is Beaches and Cream Soda Shop. It's hard with our format where we don't talk to each other beforehand because we're probably trying to out-psych each other so much that we can't pick like the
Dude, I completely agree. It's so funny. I thought you were going to go with Yachtsman and Beaches and Cream. That's why I didn't pick them.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'll let you kind of.
But there's so many places. And that's why this is a great episode because there are so many reasons to stay at one of these resorts. It's true.
Yeah, and Beaches and Cream is one that constantly people rave about as being just like a solid, like no fuss kind of meal. And, the ice cream is like the main event there. Like everyone talks about the kitchen sink. And I'll take a picture with that where, it's like a 4-person sundae. It's ridiculous with the amount of stuff that's in it. But like some of the normal sundaes, not like those crazy make you barf sundaes because it's so much food. Yeah. Those are really good. And then I'll let you talk Yachtsman because that's like one of your hot spots. You love Yachtsman.
I do. Real quick on Beaches and Cream, though, they have a very simple burger and a very simple hot dog, and they're both great. Like that's a place where if you want to get a really good burger and a really good hot dog and you don't want the kind of fast food kind of feel to them, that's the place to go. I agree. Dude, Yachtsman for steaks is, and I know you're a steak guy, phenomenal. Right? Like you walk past dry aging room when you get in there to get a table. You can't beat that. You feel like you're in like one of the top like New York or New England steakhouses. It's amazing. It's not cheap though. Like if you're walking in there thinking, you know, you're going to get it, and you know, all cards on the table, it's expensive. And they have a dress code. One of the few places on Disney property. I think men have to wear a collared shirt, which is a big problem for me. Not really, but I normally in Disney won't be wearing a collar. I'm a t-shirt and shorts and jeans kind of guy, but I can do the Mickey Mouse polo shirt too. But yeah, I mean they have the like, you know, any kind of steak you really could think of, from the filet to the prime rib to the ribeye, New York strip, filet mignon. Everything is just phenomenal. Like I said, they dry aged steaks. They have the different, like you can actually talk to your server, like, okay, this is the kind of steak I like. This is the kind and they'll explain every little thing about like the aging process, and it's just a different kind of place. You feel like you're in a real ritzy, like I said, a place in New England or New York, where, you know, I think it is by far for me. Well, maybe not by far. It's one of the best, if not the best steaks on property. And if you're not into steak, they have other things. They have seafood. They have lamb. They have chicken dishes. They have pasta dishes. So, you know, and one thing that I've heard, and I haven't gotten it because it freaks me out a little bit, but I don't know why. Truffles freak me out a little bit, but apparently the truffle macaroni and cheese over there is outrageous. But I don't know why. Like truffle oil, that kind of weirds me out, so I haven't tried it. But people have told me that's phenomenal. I don't know.
Is it because like they use pigs to find them?
I think it's because it's Chunk and the Truffle Shuffle from the Goonies.
Oh.
Every time I think about truffles,
look, man, this is no joke. On many occasions when I've met someone for the first time, they ask me, what do I do? And I'll tell them I'm retired. I was a child actor. I played the role of Chunk.
No, you don't.
I did. I have done that. I'm not joking. I told them I played Chunk on the Goonies. Yes, people have believed me. And I've said, but I'm not going to do the Truffle Shuffle. And they're like, oh, wow. Really interesting. Like, and then I'll walk away and I just forget. I'm like, oh, I probably should have told them I was joking. I didn't get the opportunity. But I figured I gave somebody a story. Like, dude, like, well, I was at that cocktail party. I met the guy that played Chunk.
Dude, that is a great story.
Because we're about the same age, and I feel like when you're a child, you don't really look like when you're that age.
Oh yeah, he was like
the things you do as an adult.
12. Yeah, he was like 12 or something.
And he didn't have any like facial features that were really pronounced that say, oh, he's, whatever, this kind of, nose looked a certain way. No, he's just like a normal looking dude. So I feel like, I could pull that off. So I have done it.
I mean, you could be Chunk, sure, like without a doubt.
Yeah.
What's really funny, I think he ended up being like a lawyer or something.
Yeah, he's a lawyer now. Yeah.
That's really funny.
But I want to say something real quick though about the dry aging thing. That freaks people out sometimes when they walk past that room to see like the slabs of meat hanging. But look, I'm not a hardcore foodie, but I know enough to talk somewhat intelligently with people. Dry aging versus wet aging. I think most people who know their steaks will say dry aging is by far superior. But the difference is, it's a little more labor intensive and it's harder to do, and it costs more or whatever. But I'm not going to say the name of the chain, but there is a national chain of like high end steaks that is really good, but they're wet aged steaks, and you realize it's a decent steak, but I think you're paying for the ambiance and the experience, and just to say that you're eating at this place, but. By far, like if you have the chance, if you have the choice, wet versus dry age is the way to go because it creates a more complex flavor profile of the meat. And so when you hear that, it's not just a name. Like, I have this thing with Tillamook cheddar, like and all those other kinds of like they add a name to it and thinking like, oh, this is going to add money to it. We can charge more money because we're going to give it a name. Like how many times have you seen a menu at a restaurant and it's like, oh yeah, here is we're serving Bumblefoot blue cheese on it. Like, what's Bumblefoot? I don't know what that is, but I guess I'm paying $3 more for it. Must be good. But no, dry aging's legit. That's not just a name that they threw on it to church it up and charge you a few extra bucks. That's a legit steak.
I mean, I've had the dry aged steak from there, and it's a different. It is almost like a religious experience. It's way better than a steak you'll get at like Outback, or a steak you'll get, at a chain somewhere else, or you make it home.
Or 7-Eleven.
I mean, the 7-Eleven steaks are good.
I've eaten sushi at 7-Eleven before.
No, you have not.
And I'm alive to talk about it.
That's not true. I didn't.
Yeah, and in Hawaii, I ate sushi and drank a 40, and I'm alive.
Dude, listen. When I was in Hawaii, I had like 103 fever the entire time. Of course, I did, but I missed most of Maui. I got to enjoy Kauai a lot. I love that island. I thought it was phenomenal. I didn't get too far off the resort, so I didn't get to a 7-Eleven. But I didn't know they sold sushi and 40s at 7-Eleven in Hawaii. Oh,
they do. And I don't think they intend to have them mixed. But no, I was a mainlander. Not. I didn't know any better. I said, hey, let me get this spicy tuna roll and a king cobra. Sit on the curb, getting drunk from the trunk.
Please tell me you were a young adult and not a full-fledged adult at that point.
Oh, man, it was easy like 6-7 months ago.
All right, man. That's gonna have to wrap it up. We can't beat sushi and a 40.
Well, you know what you should do? Like, hold on. Pause the recorder for a second. You should put a call to action out that says, hey, we understand from Johnny Shortsleeve that in Hawaii you can get sushi at the 7-Eleven, but say if your local 7-Eleven has sushi, snap a pic of it and share it on the Ear to Their Travel Facebook page, and we'll give you like, I don't know, go crazy, give them like $200 off the service pack, like with the personalized itinerary and the Magical Express. The fast passes, the dining reservations, the hotel bookings, your personalized sommelier services at Yachtsman Steakhouse that you do. Go crazy. Get a big chunk of change out there. Get the word out.
Thank you for mentioning my services. I really appreciate it. And I'm always super appreciative of that. So thanks. I know that a lot of people are listening for the first time, so I don't want to, I don't want to burst their bubbles, but I do all of that for free. None of that is actually a charged service.
Wait, which part's free? Like just the dining reservations? You do that piece for free?
Yeah, I do the dining reservations for free. Yes.
But, that's nice. But what do you charge for the rest of the pack though? How much does all that go for?
Yeah, it's all free. It's all free.
Wait, the whole pack?
I know, it's hard to believe.
What?
I won't throw in a 40 and a spicy tuna roll, but everything else is free. Maybe a gift card. If you're going to promise me that you will drink a 40 in Orlando and eat sushi at the same time, I will probably foot the bill for that. But other than that, yeah, it's all free.
Gosh, giggly wiggly, man. That's all free. Golly. That's impressive, man. I mean, I mentioned it earlier, like if you go on Disney's site to see the Admiral Suite that's not on there, why even bother going on the Disney site and wasting all that time? I mean, time is money, man. The time you're spending on doing all that stuff yourself, you could be going and looking for 40s and sushi at the 7-Eleven down the street and have you do all the work for free.
That's a good point, man. Yeah, I mean,
that's how you live, man. Live. That's what Grandma Shortsleeve used to say. You go and belly up to that 7-Eleven, boy, and get your 40 and your sushi. Don't waste no other time.
I don't know if I'm going to have to edit this out or not, but that's hilarious.
She was something else, man. She was a handful.
She was a firecracker, that Grandma Shortsleeve, man.
Well, she lights up the old folks' home like no other.
Oh, I didn't know that she was still around.
That's the thing. She's not.
All right, man. You know what? I don't know what else I can say. Thanks so much for doing this with me again. This is a lot of fun. I'm literally at a loss for words after that. But I know you always have, I always ask where I can point people to get in touch with you. And you've been declining lately. So do you have anything or anywhere you want to point people to look or take a look at or go somewhere on the internet to check out?
Good question, man. Good question. I didn't come prepared to hawk any merch or to pimp my own stuff. But I tell you what, what's interesting is I have like a little scavenger hunt thing you can do for the listeners. Go and try to do a little research on something called Disney Harvest. And what's interesting about this program is I didn't know much about it until recently. Essentially, what Disney has done is they kind of quietly have created this little program where they take food that they have procured, and I guess they aren't able to serve, not like stale bread and stuff like that, but still, good edible food, whether it's surplus or whatever it is. Even some of the food that they grow on property, and they donate to local food banks. It's interesting because we're right now recording in April. This is a time of year where the food banks start to dwindle in terms of what they have access to in terms of resources. But here's the thing, the need doesn't know a season. And we see that the holidays are always times when food drives happen around Thanksgiving and Christmas with churches, schools, activities that you do socially. People like to do food drives during the holidays, but that's the only time that they do it. So considering the time of year, if that's something that you have access to locally in your neighborhood, see what you can do to help out and volunteer, or even do, an off-season food drive. That I think is something that's really important. And if you want to see how Disney does it, do a little poke around for something called Disney Harvest, and you can see some interesting information about what they do. But they're very low key about it. They do have a truck that I see all the time rolling around. It's a pretty cool truck that they have to deliver the food to the food banks. But hopefully that gives you something to do and see if you can help out in your community.
You're a good man, dude. Thank you again for mentioning stuff like that. It's always cool. And I'll check it out because I don't know much about it, so I'm gonna look that up. Tonight I may not because like I said, we're recording this late at night, but tomorrow I definitely will. So thanks again for always mentioning something really cool that people can check out at the end of every episode.
Right on.
And thanks again for doing this, man. This is fun. I have stories to tell people after this episode. I haven't laughed that hard in a while. So thanks again, man. This is a lot of fun, and I'm looking forward to the next one.
Cool, man. Thank you.
And that is going to do it for this week's episode of the Ear to There podcast. Thank you, as always, to my guests, the one, the only, the incomparable Mr. Johnny Shortsleeve. It's always a blast to do an episode with Johnny. They always go very, very, very long. So thank you so much for listening. This one was a lot of fun. And I truly hope you had as much fun listening as we did recording this one. And if you did enjoy this episode, please just tell someone about it. Look, summer is coming up. Where better to tell people to stay than the Yacht and Beach Club with the best pool on property. So if you have friends or if you have little kids, it might be a great place to think about going. So share this with anybody who has little kids or just really enjoys the beach or the pool or, listen, I'm not judging the pool bar. It's a lot of fun. It's a great place to stay. And thank you so much in advance for listening and for sharing the episode. Both are greatly appreciated. And just remember, there will be a new episode of the Ear to There podcast each and every Monday morning, as well as a new episode of the Ear to There podcast, Walt Disney World Word of the Week, each and every Wednesday morning. So thank you again so much for listening. Have a great week. Until next time, bye-bye.